Welcome to the DILAX Lab. My name is Romina Lecher-Bauer. I am the Senior Manager for the Market Development at DILAX, and my focus market is Spain and Portugal. In the recent months, both in Germany and Spain, public transport has seen a big increase in ridership. Pre-pandemic levels have been reached again and even surpassed through initiatives like the €9 ticket that was issued in Germany from the months from June to August. And currently in Spain, Renfe's passengers are now traveling for free. But still, the people that we see coming back to the public transit are mostly the ones who were using it before the pandemic. To reach the sustainability goals and to attract even more passengers to public transit, it has to change to become more attractive to use. Offering very low rates or even free rides is one way, but what about the user groups that are less conscious about traveling expenses? How can we give them the incentives to use public transport, therefore allowing operators to reach new target groups? And how can operators collaborate with different stakeholders to support this cause? These questions and more are what we're going to talk here today, and I'm happy to have our guest with me. So, Marc Figus is a strategy consultant at Factual, an innovation consultancy focused on mobility. They are committed to transform mobility from their meshed strategic pillars: research, foresight, knowledge, factory, and venturing. Marc has a lot of experience in the mobility sector, and I'm happy to have him here today to share his insights. So, welcome, Marc.
Thank you, Romina, for the introduction.
Okay. So, as I said in the beginning, we see people slowly regaining confidence and into public transport. Consequently, operators can now shift their focus. Going forward, what is your recommendation for operators? How can they further develop their service and attract more and new passengers?
Well, indeed, we are coming back to the new normal with a context of a faster recovery of the individual modes, such as private cars, motorcycles, mopeds as well, and much slower for collective modes of transport, especially public transport, as you said. However, public transport is likely to emerge stronger as there is a solid political agreement at European level that public transport system should remain the backbone of mobility in our cities if we want to reach, of course, our environmental and social equity goals, for example, Green Deal and so on. So, yeah, I guess that public transport operators should take advantage of this context and focus on several key aspects. The first one should be a competitive public transport service. So make it attractive as a competitive mode of transport to try to reach COVID figures again, pre-COVID figures again, sorry, and increase the demand by attracting new types of users. For example, public transport should adapt itself to the societal needs, such as considering gender perspective as a key aspect, and also to avoid the digital gap in order to remove the so-called mobility poverty. Another important action should be the differentiation of user needs, as you said. This is very important. And let me say two different users groups that should be pointed by public transport operators. One can be the corporate mobility. Public transport should address this daily mobility, where the private vehicle is still the main actor of its modal share. And of course, commuting is one of the main reasons for daily traveling, and any improvement from that field will have a huge impact to the modal share and its cascading effects: less congestion, less pollutant emissions, and so on. Also, young people, as it happens in all other social aspects, young people can lead the change towards a more sustainable mobility due to their increased awareness of climate change and so on. So the public transport should be ready for them as well.
Absolutely. And you said that to make it more competitive and to attract different users, what do you think there are the factors that can contribute to increase this attractiveness? How can that be achieved?
Yeah, that's the question, and that's where the innovation in mobility is putting a lot of efforts. First of all, a trending topic at this moment is the reliability. It's the most appreciated aspect from the user side, and a key aspect to keep them in the public transport, to keep the users in the public transport, of course. However, to increase the attractiveness of public transport and additional aspects are needed. One of them is the incentives. For example, Factual has developed a Rideal platform, a micro-incentives platform for nudging user behavior towards sustainable mobility. And one of the main use cases is to incentivize the use of public transport from specific journeys or specific routes of users. Why we have developed it? Right now, there is a huge commitment to subsidize the offer from public administrations, public bodies, and so on. For example, developing new infrastructure such as bus lanes and more vehicles, more frequencies, and so on, which is a key part, of course. But there are an incentive for the demand side.
And I imagine that in an app such as Rideal, there must be a lot of data being collected that can be potentially available to the operators. I can think of OD matrices, use services like bike sharing, etc. And which data is collected in there, and how you're working with that, and how can it be beneficial to operators to use it?
Yes, data is the most important aspect for the whole public transport system, but especially for an application such as Rideal, because we are working with different sources of data. And how we work with this data, where are we putting more focus? So Rideal allows entities, institutions to use data from multiple mobility service providers to implement and control cross-vendor incentives programs. The platform itself obtains data via API from each mobility service provider to validate if a trip meets any of the defined incentive criteria. After that, then we calculate and award the incentives, if there is any incentive to be awarded, and update the program metrics and a ledger. Then our platform architecture, technologies used, and data protection policies and procedures are of extreme importance for supplying the market with an agnostic solution that gets different data sources to confidentially integrate with our APIs by guaranteeing their data protection and GDPR requirements.
Well, that's very interesting. And now shifting gears, we talked about operators so far because mostly when we talk about public transit in general, operators are the first one that come to our mind. But there are so many stakeholders in transportation. You could even say the passengers themselves are one of stakeholders in it. Who are the stakeholders groups that should be involved or could be even more involved in the development of public transit?
Yes, here all the stakeholders are playing a key role, but of course, operators and public administration are the key stakeholders that should work for putting the user at the central point of their value proposal. We would like to highlight a couple of aspects here for the public transport, but also the whole mobility system. The first one is the door-to-door mobility, which provides the citizen, one of the main key stakeholders, of course, with a comprehensive and efficient transport network with which they can reach any point by different sustainable modes of transport, combining public transport and shared mobility. Another key aspect, and I would say a trending topic, and I say the trend for the coming years is on-demand mobility. So on-demand match public transport operators, public administrations, and of course, again, the user is at the center of the question. So this is another key aspect that will be a main actor of the future mobility, the demand responsive transport, because it allows a flexibilization of public transport to make it more efficient, sustainable, and inclusive as well. Let me say that door-to-door mobility and on-demand mobility are strategies that entities such as UITP and European Commission are supporting right now.
For sure. I've seen some of these services increasing in Spain, especially in low density areas. So it's definitely a topic that is coming to a trend. And well, another topic that we mentioned at the beginning was corporate mobility. And as you also said, commuting to and from work is obviously one of the top reasons that why people are on the move. But mostly the employers are not so involved in how the employees move to their works. So tell me what it would look like to get the companies involved in that aspect.
Yes, as we discussed, corporate mobility is a very important topic, and it can be a win-win. So mobility to and back from the office, from the workplace, is a huge percentage of the daily mobility in a city or especially in a metropolitan area. So every important improvement on that will lead to a relevant reduction of congestion at, for example, at rush hours and its associated externalities such as air pollution, noise, and so on. So this is the first key aspect, a win for sustainable environment, for urban quality, and so on. The second one is only regarding the company point of view. Providing an efficient solution for reaching the workplace is one of the, I would say, top 3 priorities for their employees right after the salary and professional development. So for the corporates, mobility is now a key aspect for keeping the talent in the company. Hence, the companies are going to be another key stakeholder of the mobility landscape for sure.
Definitely. And also, I've seen that in both Germany and Spain, car dependency is still a big issue. And there's still this idea that the car is the most prestigious way of travel, and that sharing the street with so many people, as you do in public transit, cannot be so attractive, can be a little bit less convenient, and even sometimes less safe. Do you think that we could shift this mindset? And how could we go about that?
I'm not very optimistic on that. There is a real problem. Indeed, there are a number of people that still match car with a way of life. There are ones that, especially young people, that are not in that trend, hopefully. However, current data says that the car ownership of these young people has dramatically decreased during the last years, and it's not the pandemic. It's not the cause. It's another trending aspect. I fully agree with a famous statement that says that a developed country is not a place where the poor people have cars. It's where the rich people use public transport. And well, I said that I'm not very optimistic at short term, but I guess that the new generations are on it due to the, as I said, the higher climate change and sustainability mindset.
Do you use more car or the public transport?
I'm a owner of a car. I'm living in a rural area, so different topics that I highlighted during this discussion, such as on-demand mobility, door-to-door as well, could be very important for me. But I also try to use public transport, especially when I reach cities and when I'm traveling abroad.
Yeah, I use a lot the one from Barcelona. I would say It works very well. Also, the punctuality of the trains is very good. So nothing, I could only encourage people to use it more. Okay, so we are ready on the last question. And I would like to know, what is your personal vision of the future of public transit, and where can operators can really make a difference now that could have a long-lasting effect? So essentially, what is your personal and professional recommendation for where should we start?
Well, there are many current trends in the nowadays in the mobility innovation field. I would say that we are in a changing ecosystem, and some of the near future trends related to public transport have been discussed in this interview. For example, it is expected a huge increase of on-demand services and the consolidation of micro incentives for nudging user behavior. We at Factual would try to be one of the first movers of both aspects, and now we can see different companies from different countries that are on it. Also, the road safety of vulnerable road users is a key topic for expand and keep continuing the expansion of the bicycle in our cities and metropolitan areas. The fully development of the low emission zones at European level, and also I would say urban logistics is another trending topic, another hot topic that well, for the coming years, with a huge impact on the sustainable mobility. As we discussed, data is very important for all of them. The data managing aspects and so on will be a key aspect. What you are doing in DILAX is a key aspect for us, for companies like Factual. I see a lot of synergies here, and including, of course, the data spaces approach will be also very important to see this impact in sustainable mobility in the coming years.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. Okay, well, then thank you very much for being with us today, Mark. And thank you to our viewers. If you have any further questions or comments, you can reach us at webinar@dilax.com and follow us on LinkedIn. And the next DILAX Lab will take place on the 27th of October, as usual on Thursday, and I hope you will tune in again. Thank you.